I mean, Lester Crowley, as much of, as much as I disdain for him, I do think may have opened some weird ass doors. I'll say that much. I think he may have opened some weird fucking doors. Not a fan of his. But I do recall. Now, this is just like an example of why I think he may have opened some doors. I also think he was a nut job. These doors he opened, this magic he practiced, he unleashed all these spirits into his house through some sort of magical passage that's supposed to be the worst, thing you can recite as someone who works with magic. Like I'm sure plenty of people have heard this story. Basically just like let's say there's like the mother of all evil spells, some weird shit like that. Lester Crowley, he attempted it in his house, the one that I was talking about earlier, that the guitar player from Led Zeppelin, the one that he moved into. He performed that ritual at his house, and I guess ever since he performed it, like, things were just weird. Things were off. And even what is his name? What is his name? Jimmy Page? Yeah, I think that's his name. But anyways, when he moved into Lester Crowley's house, he even said it's like bad vibes, doors. Or I don't know if they're opening and closing. He always felt like he was being watched. It was weird shit. Then the house burned down like a year or two later. But yeah, I think he opened doors. But I think a lot of the stuff, it's hard to say if it's like actual magic or it's just like, like tinfoil hat mumbo jumbo that magicians believed in. I'm only saying that because, everything's on the internet in this day and age. So if it's like these spells and shit, like this actual magic existed, like you'd think you'd find like some sort of record of it, like on Wikipedia or something, of like, what's the name of the spell? What's the spell that Lester Crowley cast that was apparently so evil that, like, he put his life at risk, and no one's ever casted it before because it unleashes so many horrors or something like that. Like what's the name of that spell? Because I could never find it, but it's like, if you watch a documentary on him or read about him, it's like the most profound thing he's ever done. I mean, according to magic experts, that's what they'll say. But I mean, some of the more profound things was one time he was in the desert. I don't know what desert he was in, but he was with this guy who was, back in those days, like if you were gay or something, you couldn't really be vocal about it, couldn't be loud about it. He was a gay man that was attracted to him, and Lester Crowley was like bisexual or some shit. So he takes this dude to the desert with him. And the dude's just basically there because he wants to get on Lester Crowley. That's the only reason why he's there. But this is weird though. Like, so they get to a certain point in the desert because they're going there to actually practice magic. So they get to a certain point in the desert, and Lester makes a circle with salt, and like this thing with this circle and the salt, I don't know, it sounds like it's mumbo jumbo, but people say things like, when you're casting some sort of spell or something, you use a circle of salt to, like, don't step outside the circle, weird things fucking happen, you hear voices, things are not normal. And they were saying like this was going on, but you have no proof of this because it's just two guys. Who else is going to testify that these things went on? But this is the weird thing. So Lester Crowley made this circle, and as part of this ritualistic process, I guess this dude who wanted to get on Lester wanted him to he wanted him to fuck him up the ass. Lester wanted this dude to fuck him up the ass, and so he did. And I guess weird shit went on when that happened. You know, according to the story, the tale, weird shit happened as that was taking place. Like they were conjuring some weird demonic fucking shit. Okay, you know, and it's like they said, like he's outside the circle. The Lester's in it. This is, you know, doing something to him. I don't know what, but it's doing something. Either way, long story short, I think the story ends with, and this was a real experience, the dude who got a Lester, you know, who you know made love to his butthole like that. The dude like went insane from that experience, drove him to the point of insanity, and like he got locked up in a mental institution, as far as I know. Like. Like yeah, like that's just like one of the more fucked up stories, like, and like that's like the explanation as to why the guy went insane was, you know, like he did this magical sex act, and you'd think like, why would, you know, a gay man who has gay sex, like why would gay sex suddenly like drive you to the point of insanity, you know? So it clearly wasn't just gay sex. It was like some weird, freaky, deaky, Thelma, you know, conjured spirits. I mean, things from the fucking fourth dimensional astral realm. Like they do say there's things such as sex magic, and I believe there's definitely that possibility. You know, like there's a lot of cultures that think at the moment of like a climax, like you see a vision, or you have a sensation of God, you make some sort of connection with you know, like things that are more like religiously intrinsic to us. So I do certainly believe that if there is magic, sex magic would be something cultured into magic that you could definitely use. But I would think I think it'd be highly fucking immoral, you know, if you're going to use it. Like I think you're going to conjure the most fucking demonic things, you know, and like that's why that guy got so fucked up. You know, it's like you're playing with, you know, things that you don't know what these things could do to you. If these are like fucking demons and shit. And I believe in demons, and trust me, like if the sleep paralysis we suffer from sometimes is like if some of the things we hear or see, if these are like demonic things, because like that's always been the depiction of sleep paralysis. It's some fucking demon on a woman's chest. Like if that's like any semblance of what these demons are, I would not fuck with them. Like I would not fuck with them, you know. And I certainly wouldn't conjure them in spells, you know, like certainly wouldn't, because I've certainly seen them in moments of my sleep paralysis. Most people have dealt with sleep paralysis, I think. Not everybody. I mean, it's kind of frequent, but kind of not. But if you've dealt with it, you may have felt that there's these fucking forces, and that it's a force that's fucking doing that to you. The scientific explanation is you have an irregular sleeping pattern. And yeah, like I agree with that, like, because the times I suffer from sleep paralysis are when, you know, I spent one day sleeping, and I spent all night sleeping, then I spent like, you know, maybe 4 or 5 hours in the day or at twilight sleeping, you know, and then like the next time I try to sleep, it hits me. So they say it's from irregular sleeping patterns, but that could be what gives these demons the opportunity. You know, like once you develop that irregular sleeping pattern, there's like a sort of gap you're leaving open, and they can get in through there and start tormenting you, because you created that opening. Some, you know, weird things happen when we sleep. You know, you know, for one, our perception of time is completely like, I guess the word would be dilated. I don't know. Like our perception of time is completely fucking different. Time isn't really a constraint, I guess. Because like one thing you know is like in my dreams, You'll feel like I hear my alarm clock going off in my dream, but then I'll wake up and then the alarm clock will go off. You know, like, it's so weird. It happens to me all the time. Like, I'll be asleep and there's that point where you're about to wake up and you know you're about to wake up and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, okay, my alarm's going to go off or my alarm is going to go off. And then you wake up and the alarm goes off. So that's me saying, like, somewhere in your sleep, the alarm is going off outside in the outside world, but your brain is picking it up as, like, the alarm's not going off or it's about to go off. Something weird like that. Time is completely dilated. And I think, like, this sense of psychic powers exists. Because I remember one time I was asleep and I heard I was dreaming. I was like asleep, maybe lucidly. I was mostly asleep. And there was a voice that's like, "Hey, I'm coming and I'm going to speak with you in just a moment." In my dream, there was that voice. I'm sleeping. Then I hear knocking at my front door. I wake up. So I open the door and it's the neighbor from downstairs. A fucking pipe burst in their apartment and it's coming down. You know, we're upstairs, so they think we had something to do with it. To me, that's like when you're asleep, maybe you're picking up these psychic energies. You know, the guy downstairs, like, dude, this water's everywhere. The guy upstairs had something to do with it. You know, I'm coming to get him right now. I'm coming to see you. You know, he doesn't have to exactly say it. It's either that or I'm sleeping and he's knocking at my door. And it's like, that's how my brain is transcribing, is like in this like sort of third person, like, I'm coming to see you. I don't know. But I definitely think when we're asleep, psychic energy is completely and entirely different than what we feel and compose of in this world. Like, I don't think we even have the slightest handle on what consciousness is. So when we're asleep, I think we don't have I mean, it's a different world altogether, you know. I need to find the dean first and talk about the money professional war to misappropriate it. His sense that this is the key to the whole affair. And let's go this way. All right. I guess a long story short, I don't necessarily like Lester Crowley, but he was a fascinating person to read up on. I definitely recommend watching not interviews, but like any documentary about him. I saw one on YouTube that was really good. I think it was about 30 minutes long. It was just about Lester Crowley, and you know, he wasn't a good person by any means. You know, up until like maybe the last few years of his life, you know, when he was an old decrepit man and he had a son. And like, that's the weirdest part. Like, his son, his whole life, Lester Crowley was just like this awful person. And then in his last few years, he has this son who's like, Lester Crowley's like 70 or 80 or something like that. You know, it finally takes this young son of his to like pull out like this human side to him. That's all he cared about in his final years, was just like spending time with this son he had. Really weird that you'd pull a person out of that type of person. Like, he was a different breed of human, and not the good kind.